Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be covering a full breakdown of the new Destiny 2 Duality dungeon. Now before we kick things off, it would mean a lot to me if you guys left a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. For those of you who did, appreciate the subs. Now let's get this started. Now a pivotal point to understand throughout this entire dungeon is a certain mechanic surrounding nightmare bells like the one you see here. When shot with a few bullets, these nightmare bells will send everyone on your fire team to the nightmare realm. You'll be interacting with these bells the entire time you are in an encounter. One major thing to point out is that these bells may be shot from any distance when you're in the regular realm. However, if you are shooting the bell from the nightmare realm wishing to swap back to the regular, you must be within an immediate radius of it. Anyone outside that radius will die. That being said, there's no limited number of revives or timers for your teammates to revive you throughout any of the encounters. As long as there's someone who is within the radius of the bell, you'll be able to bounce back. Once you and your fire team have made it into this room, you will make your way upward. Throughout this path, you will have to shoot a few bells and deal with plenty of ads, but eventually you will reach this room. Congrats on making it in one piece. Now let's move on to the first encounter. Now when dealing with this encounter, there are some new mechanics thrown into the mix. First and foremost, there are now two bells you're going to be interacting with in this encounter. In addition to this, the nightmare bells now have pairs of yellow barred incinerators attached to their functionality. In order to use these bells, you and your fire team are going to have to kill these incinerators so that you may swap to the nightmare realm. Once you are in the Nightmare Realm room, you will be met with your first boss, the Nightmare of Galron. Since Galron is a nightmare, you're going to have to kill several copies of his reflections in order to lower his shield and damage him. In order to do so, you're going to have to collect 4 different staff essences with Leviathan symbols attached to them. The 4 symbols are Warbeast, Chalice, Sun, and Axis. What you have to do is take you and your fire team to the Nightmare Realm and look in the 4 side rooms to see if there are Warbeast and a Scion. When you find and kill this Scion, the staff essence corresponding to that room will appear. You'll be able to tell which essence you have collected by looking at the mid to lower left corner of your screen. Make sure you take caution when holding these essences, because if you die in either realm, you will lose it. Pick up these essences and take them back to the regular realm. Once here, you must deposit the staffs to their matching symbols. Once deposited, the door you slammed in front of will open, greeting you with more Warbeast and a Colossus. Once you kill these enemies, you must stand from the inside of the room and shoot the bell. Doing so will swap you to the Nightmare Realm room that was closed from the outside. This is where the several copies of Galron will appear. Killing these enemies are fairly easy since they have very little health. Once you clear out both sides of their copies, the actual boss's shield will be disabled and it's time for damage. One thing to point out is that you're going to want to be quick with your ad clearing so that you may maximize your damage phase. As seen previously, you're only allowed a certain amount of time in the Nightmare Realm before your team is wiped. That being said, make sure you and your fire team get in your damage, then when the timer gets close, return to the bell and come back to the regular realm. An additional thing to remember is that whichever bell your fire team has shot to enter the Nightmare Realm, the incinerators attached to them will spawn on the opposite side. That being said, make sure someone on your fire team takes care of those enemies so you all may return safely. After repeating this process over and over, eventually you will have beaten the first encounter.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. First try.
Make sure you grab your juicy rewards, and let's move on to encounter number 2.
fuck, boy.
He needs some milk.
Alright. Now, before we start the second encounter, we're met with this room filled with 4 identical statues. Now, in order to progress, you'll need to solve a small puzzle. The overall goal is to get all 4 of the statues to point towards the center. The first step is to have you and your fire team enter the Nightmare Realm via this Nightmare Bell on the center platform. Once you swap over, you need to go to these callous faceplates on each statue. When you activate these plates, the corresponding statue in the regular realm will rotate 90 degrees in a counterclockwise direction. Simply swap in and out of the Nightmare Realm until all 4 statues are facing the center. Once completed, a door beneath the center platform will open and you are now in the second encounter room. Thankfully, this encounter doesn't differentiate too much from the first. When you begin this encounter, another nightmare boss will appear. Like the first encounter, you're going to have to retrieve staff essences to break the boss's shield. The difference is that only 2 of the 4 symbols will spawn in the center. Depending on which symbols appear, you will have to traverse to different areas in the Nightmare Realm to retrieve them. For example, if one of your symbols is Sun, one of your fire team members should go to the back left area in the Nightmare Realm. The area corresponding to your symbol will have the symbol displayed largely so you can't miss it. After killing the adds and a yellow bar Nightmare Standard Bearer enemy in a timely fashion, the corresponding essence will spawn. Once you have collected both essences, return to the regular realm and slam them in the center. By doing so, the Nightmare boss's shield will lower and you may kill it. One thing to understand is that if you kill the wrong Standard Bearer enemy, your Nightmare collapsing timer will significantly reduce. Like the first encounter, there are 2 Nightmare Bells in this room. In the normal realm, these incinerators will stand next to the bell they are connected to, while in the Nightmare realm, these enemies will spawn on the opposite end of the center area. Make sure that someone on your fire team is killing these adds so you may swap safely. Once you've killed all 3 of the Nightmare bosses, you have beaten the second encounter.
There we go. Pretty easy.
That's long. Well, doing it one by one, yes.
Once you've dropped down this hole and collected your loot, it's time to move on to the third and final encounter. Finally, we have reached the third encounter room. Gear up and buckle in, this one can get hairy. Now, to begin this encounter, all you have to do is run out into this big, open area. Tons of loyalists and the final boss, the Nightmare of Princess Keitel, will appear. Something you will notice is that there are now 3 different nightmare bells throughout the room. These bells function the exact same way as they have in previous encounters. Simply kill the 2 near a bell and that bell will unlock. Like the last encounter, you will look around the room for 2 out of the 4 symbols near these big chains. Looking around the room, you will see 4 different circular platforms extending from the walls. Above these platforms are one of the 4 symbols. These platforms correspond to the locations of the staff essences you will need to retrieve in the Nightmare Realm. After calling out to your fire team which symbols are currently visible in the regular realm, 2 of your fire team members will want to position themselves on the corresponding platforms. The 3rd fire team member should position themselves in a place where they can shoot the yellow barred incinerators across from the bell that was originally used. Once they are in position, swap to the Nightmare Realm. This strategy allows your members to be exactly where they need to be and enable them to kill the Scion immediately once they're inside.
Hours worth of
Please make sure that your callouts are correct and make sure that you are in the correct position so that you do not kill the incorrect standard bearers. Doing so will reduce your time in the Nightmare Realm just like the last encounter.
something you gotta.
Pick up your essences and return to the regular realm with your fire team members. For the members that have collected the essences, you must then deposit your staff into the matching symbol by the chains. After you have dunked any number of essences, loads of new ads like Scions and Centurions will spawn, so be careful. Once you and your fire team members have deposited 2 sets of symbols, gems on all 4 chains will begin to glow. Shooting any of the 4 gems will activate a ram to ring the large nightmare bell in the back of the room. Once it has rang, you will be teleported to the Nightmare Realm once more. Now, Princess Keitel's Nightmare Shield has been lowered and it is time for damage. Before you run buck wild on her, you'll need to do a couple of things in order to maximize your phase. If you don't do these things, you will do little to no damage and your phase will be only about 10 seconds. For starters, I highly recommend that you and your fire team members should immediately kill all 6 of the incinerators that are in the room. I say this because as the damage phase begins, Kaido will randomly head towards one of the 3 bells. If she reaches that bell and it is not shot or even unlocked, she will raise her shield and that will be the end of your damage phase. So, once you quickly kill all 6 of the incinerators, you must run to the Nightmare Bell that Keitel is heading toward. When she is close, shoot the bell and it will cause her to be stunned. By stunning her at all 3 bells, you will extend your damage phase exponentially. If you will take notice of the surrounding area, you will see a black mist around the bell. When inside of this mist, you will receive a buff called Waking Resonance. This buff will allow you to do way better damage for about 10 to 12 seconds. Once you have repeated this process enough times, eventually you will have conquered the final encounter and beat this dungeon. Congrats everybody, and thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching the video. Let me know if you find anything helpful or if I missed anything in this quick guide. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and let me know what other kind of content you would like to see. That being said, thank you guys for watching and I will catch you all in the next one.